Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way.
Welcome.
Well, how you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing all right. How you doing over there?
I'm doing pretty good. We had a lot of fun today.
Yes, we
We
did.
decorated for Halloween.
Ooh.
We celebrate Halloween in this house.
Yeah, we do.
And we got some new decorations this year. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
excited. October is upon us. My favorite month of the year. Probably one of my favorite months. Mostly because of Halloween. And I get to have an excuse to watch a bunch of scary movies, which I do that year round anyway. But
You know.
I get more of an excuse and there's more available. But yeah, anyway.
All the streaming services has full
Just
blown.
flooded with, yeah.
All the cheesy horror you can
All the
handle.
cheesy, scary slasher movies you can handle. But
Because they have Halloween.
yeah, I'm feeling, what I haven't done in a while? A nightmare marathon.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. I haven't, there's been a long time since I've watched some of those sequels. So
Oh my God.
maybe time for
I hardly ever watched Nightmare 2.
Nightmare 2. Yeah, I haven't seen, I feel like I watched Nightmare 2 not too long ago because it was just on something, but I haven't seen 3 through however many there are, 7, 8, and I've seen Freddy vs. Jason pretty recently, but yeah, so maybe that's what we need to do for October this year. Not for the podcast, obviously, but just on our own personal time. But anyway, we're way off topic. You know what we're here to actually talk about?
Monster Seafood Wars.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
So remind me, was this your first viewing or had you seen this before?
This is my first viewing.
This was your first viewing. So I had watched it. I can't remember if you watched it with me. I watched it not long after I bought it whenever SRS Cinema first put it out. But so this was my second viewing. But yeah, Monster Seafood Wars, or the literal Japanese title, Three Monsters Gourmet. And some alternate English titles were Monster Gourmet or Monster Cuisine.
And as we get into it, you'll know why they reference food things.
Yeah. Yeah, you will. Oof. But some production trivia. This is loosely based on a few things, including an unmade film featuring a giant octopus that was proposed by Eiji Tsuburaya prior to the making of Godzilla. Also inspired by an 8mm film by the director Kawasaki that he made as a film student called Foot, in which food ingredients became giant. This film is obviously also very heavily inspired by Space Amoeba, both in the monsters that show up, the design of those monsters, and especially the promotional artwork surrounding the movie. So we have reviewed that film. So,
Unfortunately.
what do you mean, unfortunately? That's a great classic Toho Kaiju film. You watch your mouth. But anyway, yeah, so.
It's not the worst thing we've ever sit through.
Filming of this began in September of 2019. And they adapted this into a manga that same month. So prior to this ever actually coming out.
Manga?
It has like a web manga thing they did, yeah. And yeah. Box office, not much. It was released on June 6th of 2020 and had a budget of about 20 million yen. So there you go.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. But we're going to listen to the trailer, the SRI Cinema release trailer. And then we will talk cast and crew and all about this here film. So anyway, here is the trailer and we'll see you in a bit.
巨大タコ、巨大イカ怪獣が出現。大東京は壊滅の危機に。三大怪獣グルメ。
予感はしましたよ。とてつもなくナイスな料理になりそうな予感は。
怪獣肉を食べたら超バカうまだったのだ。怪獣肉の宝石箱や。
怪獣肉最高。
日本中が怪獣グルメブームの狂乱に陥った。
これが完成すれば世界の食糧危機はたちまち解決さ。
シーフードモンスターアタックチームスマットは次なる怪獣の襲撃に備えねばならんのです。
豊洲にタコラ火からカニーロのすげえさは。
こうなったら海鮮丼作戦しかありません。
国立競技場を世界最大の丼にする令和最大の壮絶な思想。
至近距離で放射しないと怪獣にダメージを与えることができません。
コントローラーが急に効かなくなった。
果たして史上最大の怪獣海鮮丼は食えるのか。孤独のグルメの久住正幸監修、日本バカ映画の巨匠川崎実監督による三大怪獣グルメ。三大怪獣グルメにご期待ください。
All right. There was the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cast and crew. It was a trailer. Cast and crew directed by Minoru Kawasaki, written by Masakazu Megita, music by Asaka Kougi, effects by Minoru Kawasaki, starring Eiichi Kikuchi, Yuya Asato, Ayano Yoshida Christie, Hide Fukumoto, Ryo Kinomoto, and Masayuki Kuzumi. And the plot, more or less, is as follows. When two giant sea monsters appear, the authorities immediately suspect boy genius Yuta, who invented a concoction called Setap Z, which turned animals giant with the goal of solving the world's hunger crisis. When Commander Hibiki of SMAT interviews Yuta, Yuta denies any involvement in the creation of the creatures and points SMAT in the direction of Hikoma, a former fellow researcher and personal rival of Yuta. Eventually, both Yuta and Hikoma join SMAT as advisors. Also a member of SMAT is the romantic interest of both young men, Nana. The monsters, dubbed Takola, the giant octopus, and Ikola, the giant squid, attack once more. Hikoma has devised a plan to spray them with rice vinegar, which will essentially dry them out. The plan is working until a third monster, a giant crab dubbed Canilla, arrives. The vinegar is useless against Canilla's hard carapace, and the crab destroys SMAT's vehicles. Over the next few days, Yuta and Hikoma feud over how to handle the creatures. Their rivalry over Nana grows more intense as well. One night at a restaurant, Hikoma admits that he was the one who modified Setap Z and turned the creatures giant. Eventually, after Yuta mistakenly thinks Hikoma is attempting to rape Nana, Yuta strikes Hikoma, and Hikoma storms off. Yuta comes up with Operation Seafood Bowl, in which the monsters would be trapped in National Stadium and killed with a combination of the rice vinegar sprayers on the mollusks and cannons designed to destroy Canilla's shell. The plan goes well at first, but Hikoma hijacks the sprinkler system and washes the vinegar off Takola and Ikola. Luckily, Yuta's friend Nimi has invented a giant chef robot, which he activates and uses to attack the giant sea monster. Hikoma tries to hack it as well, but is seemingly crushed by a severed tentacle. The robot starts to run low on energy and has one of his arms severed, but Nimi activates a knife arm and chops off the limbs of the monsters. National Stadium is transformed into a giant seafood bowl. Years later, Setap Z is spreading through the country as mosquitoes feed on farm animals given the serum. Yuta, Nana, and Nimi go to the local shrine to give a seafood offering, where they are received by a mysterious hooded monk. After the trio leaves, the hooded figure is revealed to be Hikoma, who laughs maniacally as credits roll. More or less?
More or less.
More or less the plot of the movie. Yeah. Well, The movie's actually kind of told through a I guess kind of in a flashback manner. Like it starts with a recorded interview of Commander Hibiki like years later, and he's kind of recounting the events, and then it like flashes back the events. Although most of the movie is
it flashes back and forth throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time spent on the actual interview of Commander Hibiki. Most of it's spent during the actual events, but that is kind of the structure of the story.
It goes through a lot of other people too, flashing back to interviews and then going to the backstory.
Yeah, there's a lot of interviews, kind of similar to that. What movie did we watch the other day?
Japan.
No, sort of. But I was thinking of the Buddha Arrival, where there were all these interviews intercut with the actual, action of the movie, plot of the movie.
Yeah, but those were in the same time as the Buddha Arrival was happening.
Yeah.
This is it going back to the past and to the future.
Yeah.
Kind of like Big Man Japan was going. Well, they were talking about the past and the future.
Well, yeah, Big Man Japan, like they would do an interview the night after something happened.
Yeah.
And then they would have him explain it or something. But yeah, that kind of thing, like a mockudrama or whatever.
Yeah. Mockumentary.
Yeah, mockumentary. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, but basically the movie starts with this young man named Yuta. He's riding his bike, and he stops to talk to one of his neighbors or whatever, and he gets like someone runs by and assaults him and steals he has like this little wooden basket with these seafood offerings he takes to the local shrine.
The freshest his father could find.
Yeah, his father owns a sushi restaurant or something, and it's a octopus.
He's like the best seafood restaurant
in Tokyo or something.
Tokyo.
It's an octopus, a squid, and a crab.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it gets stolen from him, and then later this giant squid and giant crab show up and attack the city. And he goes to talk to his friend Nimi, and his friend is telling him how everyone's going to blame him because he was working on Setap Z.
Yeah.
And apparently Yuta was like a boy genius, and he worked at this science organization lab, and he worked on this thing called Setap Z, which was meant to turn animals giant for farming purposes
to stop world hunger.
Yeah. And anyway, and in the interviews, Commander Hibiki's like, we immediately suspected Yuta because he was working on that project, and the lab that he worked for, there was like an interview with one of those guys, and he's like, we immediately suspected Yuta. Mm-hmm. And anyway, but Commander Hibiki is gonna sit down in an interview with Yuta, and we also learned during when Yuta went to go visit Nimi, he told him that he was working on a project or whatever, and we see Nimi like blindfolded playing like a Street Fighter video game.
Yeah.
And he beats it blindfolded using his third eye or whatever.
His mind's eye.
Yeah, his mind's eye. And but anyway, he's also hacked into the CCTV to track this chick that they have a crush on.
He has a crush on
Yuta.
Yuta has a crush on.
I think Nimi has a crush on her as well, but
that doesn't play out much.
It's not a big part of the story, but anyway, but that woman is Nana, and she works for SMAT. Commander Hibiki, he's commander of SMAT. By the way, the actor is the commander from was it Dinah?
Was it Dinah?
I think it was Dinah. I'm pretty sure it was Dinah. But
yeah.
He's a commander of SMAT, which is a play on, I think, Matt, Monster Attack Team from Return of Ultraman, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
SMAT is Seafood Monster Attack Team.
Yeah.
Or as the Prime Minister says later, you can also call it Special Monster Attack Team. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they go to do this interview, and Yuta, of course, denies anything to do with it and says, maybe you should ask this guy named Hakoma. He would probably know more. And Hakoma is his former fellow researcher and also personal rival. And he's also romantically involved with Nana. And Hikoma and Yuta are going to basically be asked to be advisors to Smat. And, there's a lot of like you would see in like one of the Ultraman or Kamen Rider shows or something where the two 20-something or late teens have, a big rivalry and they're constantly, or an anime where they're constantly bickering back and forth and all this and that. And eventually the monsters attack again. And of course they argue whoever has a better plan. And Yuta wants to like force the monsters to fight each other and, kill them that way. But Hikoma wants to spray them with rice vinegar cannons because rice vinegar will basically draw the salt out of them and dehydrate them, I guess.
Yeah.
And anyway, they go with Hikoma's plan and it's working fine until a third monster, the crab, being also turned giant, shows up. And of course, the spray vinegar has no effect on his hard shell. And he like knocks over the jeeps and
he cuts off some of the limbs of the...
He cuts off, but here's the big thing. He cuts off some of the tentacles of the other two. And then the movie literally, they collect the tentacles or whatever.
Yeah.
And the movie literally has a 20-minute sequence, gag, whatever you want to call it, about how the food that they turn these tentacles into is like the greatest seafood ever. And so the movie goes through literally 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes of this. A sequence at first, the SMAT team's personal chef cooks it up, and all the members get a different dish and are so impressed. And then it cuts through a series of like
the whole food industry.
Yeah, like professional food reviewers and then like YouTubers and social media influencers, like all trying this food and like being super impressed. And then people like going to like seedy underground restaurants to find the seafood, monster seafood. And
there's like this one seedy place that has the seafood ramen.
The monster ramen, yeah. And like it... And I feel like this is like a small encapsulation of the whole movie. Yeah. This bit would be a funny 30-second bit in an Ultraman episode, but they literally drag it out for 20 minutes.
And you're like, oh yeah.
And I feel like, honestly, the whole movie, this would be a great 20-minute Ultraman parody episode stretched out to 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy heck. But like, if it was like I said, like an episode of TV like Ultraman, like everything would just happen a lot faster. Like the idea of like the rice vinegar cannons, like they might have like one line of drop dialogue and then the monster attack team would show up with rice vinegar cannons. In this movie, we've got to have a whole like 5 to 10 minute scene of Hikoma and Yuta arguing over the rice vinegar cannons and how to use them and blah, blah, blah before we actually get to using them.
And that's when he first introduces his seafood bowl plan, actually.
Well, I don't think he does the seafood bowl plan until later. His initial plan was to get them to fight each other and cut off their limbs or whatever. Anyway, so after the whole big sequence with the food... during like the intermediate time between the two big fights in the movie, Yuta is jealous because Hikona is taking Nana out to this nice fancy restaurant and basically trying to, convince her to be a long-term girlfriend or something, I guess. And they're having romantic dinners, and then one night Yuta shows up, I guess, to get takeout or something at their restaurant, and they get into this big argument. And I guess Hikoma basically admits to being the one that assaulted him and stole the seafood offerings, and then using C-Tap Z to turn them giant.
Yeah.
But he's like, so they they get into each other's face and like, we'll make a bet, like, whoever figures out how to stop the monsters first gets to date Nana. Of course, Nana's upset about it. But
what?
And at some point, I think earlier, Nana had ran into uh, what was the other kid's name? Nemi on the street, and Nemi had asked her to be easy on Yuta's feelings or whatever. But anyway, so they get into this big argument. And so they kind of go back to like the headquarters, and they're kind of working together to, you know, solve this crisis. And then one night it's late. You can tell they've been working for a long time. They're really tired. Yuta goes to take a shower, and then Hikoma like gets up on a step ladder to change an air conditioning vent, and he falls on. You know, Yuta hears them first and thinks, of course, they're making goofy sounds and sounds like they're having sex or something.
Like one of those goofs.
Yeah, one of those kind of goofs. And then the step ladder collapsed and he fell, and Hikoma fell on Nana or whatever. And Yuta walks in and thinks he's trying to like assault her, I guess. I don't know. And then he like punches him a couple times. And then Hikoma like gets mad and storms off. Although I'm like, Hikoma is like a lot bigger than Yuta. I don't know why he just doesn't hit him back. But I guess it's the idea of like bullies are really like cowards or something. I don't know. But anyway, so they have to do their operation without Hikoma. And he introduces the idea of Operation Seafood Bowl, where there's this, well, the national stadium, I guess it's some big like multi-purpose stadium or whatever. It looks like it's got like a running track. It's probably also used for soccer and baseball, whatever else. But anyway, so they're going to trap the monsters in there and spray the two mollusks with the vinegar. And then they're also got these cannons that's supposed to like break through the crab shell or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, everything's kind of going to plan. But then someone hacks the sprinklers and washes the vinegar off the squid and the octopus. And they go, Yuta and Nana go looking, and of course it's Hikoma back for revenge or whatever.
And he preemptively put salt water into the sprinklers to make them so the animals would get their strength back.
Yeah, rehydrate them or whatever. But
the seafood monsters would get their strength back.
Yeah, but Nemi shows up. And he has a remote control, and he's turned his father's or whoever's seafood shop or whatever into a giant chef robot.
Yep.
And he activates it and it flies over, and it's just like any like Power Rangers or Ultraman episode. He uses the remote to pilot it and fight the monsters, but then
it was all going good until
Hikoma tries to hack the chef robot.
And he does.
He does successfully. But
the crab cuts off the arm, and it ends up, falling straight on Hikoma.
I think in my plot summary I said the tentacle got cut off on crushing, but you're right. The crab cuts off the chef robot's arm, and it looks like it crushes.
It looks like it crushes
Hikoma.
It makes it where he loses, his control on the robot.
Yeah. So it's got a color timer just like Ultraman when it runs low on energy. It's only got 30 seconds left. But Nemi, he pulls he gets his blindfold out, or he has Yuta pull his blindfold out and put it on him. And so he uses his mind's eye to he replaces the missing hand with a knife hand.
Yeah.
And he does the go up in the atmosphere and spin around and fall back down move. And
and he cuts off all the limbs of the
monsters and renders them harmless. And then they turn the national stadium into a giant seafood bowl, literally.
Yeah.
And everyone's happy and victorious. And then we cut to, I think, 3 years later, and when they're interviewing Commander Hibiki, and he's talking about how they've been using C-Tap-Z on cows on the farm to make them bigger, I guess. But the mosquitoes started turning giant because they were feeding off the cows. And then we see a scene of the three friends, Yuta, Nana, and Nemi, going to the shrine Yuta does every year with a new seafood offering.
Yeah. And
they're met by a mysterious monk or alkalite, whatever they're called. And he's got the shroud over his face.
Yeah.
And of course, you immediately know who it is if you've ever watched a movie. But
he used the excuse that the
priest is ill or whatever. And he takes the seafood offering, and Nemi turns around and gives him a funny look. but they end up all walking off, and he closes the door behind him, and he takes off his shroud, and of course he walks past the priest that he has tied up in the floor, and it's Hikoma, and he laughs maniacally because I guess he's gonna turn these ones giant too.
It shows what they are, but it's like a lobster.
It was a sea urchin, a lobster, and a globefish, or I guess we'd call it a pufferfish. But yeah. And anyway, then the credits roll. 83 minutes of my life. I think the last 3 minutes are credits. It's about 80 minutes, but without credits. But
we spent it on worse movies.
We have spent it on worse movies. I mean, listen. Like I said earlier, the problem with this movie is it's about a 20-minute concept stretched out to 80 minutes. And it's really not that funny. Like I said,
feel like the first...
There's a couple of gags that are funny for a few seconds. Like the food gag would be funny, like I said, in a 30-second bit in an Ultraman episode. There are like the chef robot is kind of like in a parody way funny for about 30 seconds. Some of the creatures are funny.
Technically only there for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I think it had 30 seconds of energy left. I don't know if the subtitles properly translated that because it's just like Ultraman. He has 3 minutes, but in the last 30 seconds, his color timer goes off or whatever.
He was there way longer than 3 minutes.
Everything in this movie is longer than it needs to be. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot, and all the like the romantic rivalry stuff. I mean, I get what they're going for, but in a parody movie like this, cut all that out. Let's just get to the nitty gritty, like monster parody stuff. And yeah, it's too long, way too. It's literally 80 minutes and it's an hour too long.
That culinary adventure scene. That's way
that was long. The worst example. Yeah, where they literally dropped the plot for 20 minutes and just went on and on about the culinary stuff, and it's
they
like,
said the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh my gosh, let's just get through this. So yeah, that'll basically be my review. Is like it's a 20-minute parody stretched out feature
way
length.
too long.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I will say
the effects and everything look bad.
I mean, we'll talk about that. They definitely had more money for this than they did for a lot of these other SRS Cinema movies. Like they actually had money to get some filming permits to film in the streets of the city, to have some sets for like the headquarters, the restaurant,
and had some decent
all that
money
stuff.
to get.
They actually had a permit to film in the stadium for some of the interior shots of the stadium, it looked like.
And they had some decent money, you know, to make everything look nice and not like extremely cheap.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in effects and stuff, but they definitely had more money, and actors you know, I mean, they're not great actors, but I recognize obviously Commander Hibiki is from Ultraman Dyna. There was another guy, older guy they interviewed who I think was one of the older government guys in Ultraman Nexus. I know some of the other guys they interviewed were Ultraman or some kind of tokusatsu actors. So I just couldn't place off the top of my head. But you know, the younger actors, they're very much told to act like, you know, actors from those shows, or from anime or whatever. The acting's fine. I mean, it's definitely over the top, especially on the part of Yuta and Hakoma.
But you know,
that's kind of par for the course for any of these things. So
that's expected.
But getting into creature design, so we have, what did I say their names were? I think Ikola is the octopus, right?
Yeah.
Takola, I'm sorry, Takola or Takola is the octopus, and it's a guy in a rubber suit and an red octopus costume. Ikola is the squid. And it's got like big, like anime eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like a pink squid costume. And you know, it's got like both of them have like the tentacles, but then the two big tentacles that you can tell where their legs and feet actually go. And they walk on 2 feet. And they have like the 2 tentacles that are raised where the people's arms are, and then the other ones that just dangle at, you know, their waist or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have the crab, the crab is kind of funny. What did I say the crab's name was? Kanila. Kanila, he has the crab, but the actor kind of like squats and he kind of tries to do like a sideways crab walk the best he can in that suit, which is kind of funny.
It comes and goes.
The crab walk.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Yeah, sometimes he just kind of walks normal, but but that's kind of funny when he does that.
Yeah.
Bit. Rolling into effects. I mean, obviously the suits are intentionally cheap. I mean, they're about what you would probably
the
see.
crab one actually looks pretty.
They're
good.
about probably what you would see in an old school Ultraman episode, maybe a little cheesier. You know, you could tell they have more money. Like it's filmed with actually like professional high def cameras. The compositing shots are fine. I mean, there's some, I think, some intentionally bad ones when they're like interacting with humans.
Most of them are intentionally bad.
But like on the cityscape and stuff, and when they're like composited in on the stadium, I mean, it looks fine for a parody movie. You can tell like they actually took some time to do that. I mean, there's some really, again, some of this you could say is intentionally bad, but some fireball effects that are really bad, like when the tentacles are composited in with the Jeeps and the people and knocking them over, and then the little toy Jeeps that turn over and catch on fire.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I think it's a combination of they know what kind of movie they're making, so it's intentionally bad, but also they obviously didn't have the money to do more than that. But
they made a lot of things intentionally more bad looking than
what they had to.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
They made all the like eye effect, the flashy effects, and anything like that intentionally bad looking, like any cheap film would be.
Yeah, or old monster movie or something. Yeah, so I don't have any really problems with that. It's a lot better than like those Hayashida movies, especially at the end where it was just like incomprehensible blurry toys on screen. But
they weren't intentionally bad; they were just bad.
They were just bad. Yeah. And then score, they kind of try to do like a classic Ultraman score kind of deal, and then there's even like a pop song I think at the end that you would hear on one of those like maybe Heisei era Ultraman shows or something. So that's all fine and dandy, all works for me. But yeah. Anyway, you wanna do some final thoughts?
Sure,
go for it.
Well, this movie, like Aaron said, it's an like a 30-minute parody idea stretched into like a feature-length film that goes on way too long, that you can tell that they did not have enough going for them to make it really this long of a movie.
Yeah.
And, the effects are not, well, they're not bad intentionally.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But they try to make it look goofy and fun to where it looks like they're trying to make a goofy parody. And, and the acting in this is over the top like any good parody movie would be. And the sound effects and all that are decent. The models actually look halfway decent in this movie, even though it's a parody movie, so it doesn't look like perfect.
Yeah.
But they didn't make it look totally horrible. Yeah. And the score in this, fits for a perfect parody movie. They got the score, like it's not like the greatest score ever made, but it works for what this movie is going for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll give this movie, I'll give it a D+.
Yeah, listen, I mean, in terms of the effects are about the level I'd want them to be for a parody movie like this. The score is kind of what I would want it to be for a parody movie like this. But like we've said, I mean, the main issue is it's a 20-minute concept stretched to 80 minutes. And it's just not all that funny. And it's way too, and I get really bored. Everything goes on too long. Every scene, every segment, every gag goes on too long. I chuckled a couple of times, but and I appreciated some of the homages or parroting of like certain concepts of like old monster movies and old tokusatsu shows and stuff like that. You can tell it was definitely made by people who have watched those shows and enjoyed them. But yeah, it's just concept stretched way too thin, and it's a pretty boring watch. I mean, it's not painful necessarily like those Hayashida movies could be. That last one
No.
especially, but it's not fun either. So
It's just in that middle ground, just like,
it's kind of in the middle ground of it's too high quality to be like unintentionally funny, but it's not well enough made to be intentionally funny.
Yeah.
Like they intended it to be.
It's like
So
in that middle ground, like
kind of caught in no man's land.
no man's land. You know, it's not funny, but it's not really that funny.
Yeah, some of it's just not funny, but yeah, I'm with you. I think a D plus is probably about the right grade
It's
for
like
this movie.
they try to be too over the top.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a parody, sometimes you do want it to be over the top. I just think that
There's a fine line of being.
I just think that everything is just, like I said, just stretched too thin, just goes on too long. Like, we don't need 20 minutes of like YouTube videos edited together about how great this monster seafood plates are. You know,
There's a fine line in parody movies where you had to get it perfect to make it, funny for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, we're done with that. I don't really have any news other than what's coming up on the schedule. And next week will be not an SRS Cinema release, but it's a movie kind of in the same vein of
the Calamari Wrestler.
what we've been watching. It is the Calamari Wrestler. Now, neither me nor Andrew have watched this movie.
Nope.
I've never seen anything about it. I've never seen a trailer or anything. I mean, I read a little bit about it when I bought it, obviously, for
I
the
read
podcast.
the back of the movie, but
The synopsis on the back of the case.
yeah, the back of the case.
So that'll be interesting. But then after that, we got some interesting stuff. We've got Alligator 2,
Oh,
the Jason and the Argonauts. That's the Ray Harryhausen thing we're gonna do, and then another SRS Cinema. This is an actual like old lost Korean movie, Space Monster Wog Mogwai. And then Godzilla's birthday. We're going to do Godzilla 1985, just like we did King of the Monsters for the Raymond Burr version for Godzilla's birthday last year, I think. We're going to do the 1985 Raymond Burr cut for Godzilla's birthday this year. So fun stuff coming up.
fun.
Fun stuff coming up. But other than that, I think
That's pretty much it.
that's pretty much it. So don't forget, next week will be
The Calamari Wrestler.
the Calamari Wrestler, and you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
And you can find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right, and we are also at Facebook.
Ooh.
I did see on Facebook where what's his face, the director of like Shape of Water and stuff, Guillermo del Toro, went and did like a tour of Toho with like the director of Shin Godzilla and all that stuff. But anyway, so that was kind of cool. But anyway, Calamari Wrestler, and as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.